Hi everyone! Welcome to my first ever art video. I'm super excited to be able to share this with you. Today we're going to start by just talking about supplies and materials and how to get organized at your home to get ready for these art lessons. And then after we're done getting all set up, you can move on to the first official lesson, which is how to make Zentangles. Since this is my first ever video, I'm still learning. I might make some mistakes. I might get confused or turned around at points. I'm still trying to figure out how to do this the right way. But if there's anything that you notice that I could be doing to help you understand better and for you to learn more, please let me know. And I'm really looking forward to getting better and better at this as we go along. Okay? First things first, when we're at school, all of our art materials are there on the shelf in their labeled bins, ready whenever we need them. But for these video lessons, you're going to need all of your supplies ready for you at your home. Especially when we're doing this at our house, we need our supplies to be organized and to be able to be taken out when we need them, but put away when we're not using them. Some of you might already have a space at home where your supplies live all the time, but some of you might not, and that's okay. That's why we're doing this. If you think you don't have art supplies at home, you might be surprised by how many ordinary, everyday things around your house could be used as art supplies. Also, a lot of what we're doing, you can just do with a pen or a pencil. All right, so the very basic materials that you're going to need before worrying about anything else, you just want to have some paper, any old paper. We always want to have a pencil, preferably with a good eraser, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. And then any old pen, whether it's one that looks like this or one that has a little more ink to it, or a felt tip pen that writes kind of like a marker. Any kind of pen, whether it's blue or black, can work just fine for a lot of the things that we're doing, right? While you're looking around your house, also talk to your families, check your recycle bin, and keep an eye out for any small containers that you might be able to use to keep all your stuff organized. Some things that really help me are things like cans, little food containers like this one. This used to have cottage cheese in it. I have a Grillo's pickles container that works very well for my colored pencils. Little boxes. This one was what my glasses came in. They can all be super helpful in getting all of your supplies organized in a way that's really easy to keep together and really easy to sort things out. The very last thing that you're going to want to look for is a tray or a big box that you can use to put all of your supplies in, so you have one container where all of your art supplies live. That'll make it really easy to pull out, really easy to put away. Now that we've talked about what we're looking for and what our goal is to set up a nice, easy to pull out, easy to clean up, organized art kit, let's take a look at what I set up. Some of the things I have in my kit are colored pencils. As you can see, I put them in just a reused pickle container so that they were all standing up, points up in my cup. Easy to get, easy to see all the colors, and easy to put away. I have a jar of markers. Mine are kind of fancy brush markers because that's all I had in my house. I wish that I had a box of Crayola markers, but I don't. But anything that you have lying around will do, even if it's only a couple colors, even if it's highlighters or colored pens or colored Sharpies, any kind of marker will do. I have a couple baskets of crayons just because they wouldn't fit in one container. And I wanted to make sure that when I was looking for a particular color, I didn't dump them all out onto the table. But these are just leftover crayons from school sets. Some are Crayola, some are not. They're just whatever was left over and not a full set by any means. I, of course, have to have a pencil. My pencil does not have a very good eraser, and that's okay. I am currently looking for one in my parents' house, and I think I know where one might be. But whether you've got a great eraser right on the pencil or whether you need to find a separate one, just do your best to look around the house, see what you have. We've got a ruler, which you may or may not have in your house, and that's okay. If you don't have a ruler, I always keep something with a straight edge on hand, like a book. I'll show you in this first video how to use the edge of the book to stand in for a ruler, because sometimes you just don't have a ruler. We've got a pencil sharpener. Mine is battery operated, but I also have, just in case of emergency, you can also use a little handheld one. I have all of the black pens that I could find. They're all different. I've got Sharpie, I've got a Papermate Flare pen, it's a felt tip pen. I've got one of these babies, a Uniball pen, right? Just a standard black pen. One of these, a Pilot V7. You know, they all have fancy names, but they really aren't fancy or out of the ordinary pens. They're things that if someone in your family has a collection of pens for signing things, signing permission slips, signing checks, whatever it is your families have to do at home, they might have a pen like this, but a ballpoint pen works fine too. I had one of those in here and I moved it earlier today, but it will make its way back into my art tray before the end of the day. I've found some embroidery thread. So if you have some string laying around, it's always nice to have with your art stuff. If you don't have embroidery thread, or some people call it friendship bracelet string, that's fine. You have what you have. If you don't have it, there's no need to try to get some right now. It's not the time, but it's good to have. If you have some around your house, putting a little bit with your art stuff is very helpful. Also in my little box here is some binder clips, some regular paper clips, some rubber bands, because you never know when you might need to hold some things together, and it's usually not at a time where you want to be looking all over your house to find one tiny little paper clip or find a rubber band, okay? We want to have those things on hand just in case. And I have more paintbrushes around. Today, I'm not pulling out the paint, so it's a little less important, but I do keep paintbrushes nearby just in case. And I put everything in this tray so that when it's time to clean up, it's super easy to put everything in its place. And get on with my day. This is all the paper that I could find in my house. I did not go out and buy anything just to have while we're on coronavirus isolation, quarantine, I had some printer paper in my house, just regular plain old paper. I had some construction paper. If you don't have construction paper in your house, that is perfectly fine. We won't use that for a little while anyway. But if you find some, even if they're little scraps, it's good to keep with your art stuff. I obviously, since I am an art teacher and an artist, I keep watercolor paper around, but any paper that's a little heavier, see, it's a little thicker. It doesn't wiggle like the printer paper. This is how thin the printer paper is. This is watercolor paper. Right? My construction paper is kind of in between. If you have watercolor paper or something really heavy around, definitely keep some nearby. Even old file folders or something that your family's not using anymore can be a great thing to paint on if you have paint around. If you don't have paint around or things that you would be using with wet materials, then don't worry about it, because that is the only reason why you need watercolor paper or something heavy. It's for any art making that uses wet materials, because printer paper does not hold up well to water. And last but not least, I have some graph paper. I have this really big graph paper with really tiny squares. If you don't have graph paper, that's not a big deal at all. I like to have it because it can be fun for making designs. You can use the squares to help you draw different patterns and designs. And after we talk about Zentangles today, this is a really fun way to do it a little differently. But I use my ruler and the lines in the paper and make these kind of mandala-ish symmetrical drawings. This. Right, using lots of patterns and lines. And this can be really fun to do, just using your imagination to come up with different ways to connect the lines and to fill the spaces with patterns. All right. It can also be great for drawing letters because it gives you some guides to make sure that the top and the bottom are even. All right, so that is all the paper that I have set aside for myself to use, and really all that I think we're going to be using in the near future. These can also be really helpful. These are just regular old brown paper bags from the grocery store. If you're doing something that's kind of messy, if we split these open and lay them out, you have an easy to clean up protection for the table. They also, if you're having trouble finding good paper, you can also use the inside of the bag to draw on, to paint on, and it's a little bit heavier and stronger than like printer paper, copy paper. It is really, really important that you remember that as I'm showing you what's in my art kit, what I have set aside for us to use, I tried to pull out the things that there was a good chance you might have at your house, even if it's just for doing school projects or homework. You might have some of these things in your house, but I know that you don't have everything. You might not have everything that I have. Okay. Remember that I am an art teacher. I'm an artist. I like to make art in my free time. So I keep a lot of art supplies around the house that other people don't usually keep around. Okay. I don't expect everyone to have paint at home or paintbrushes. I don't expect every family to have glue or glue sticks. But if you do find those things as you're looking around for your art supplies, you can definitely put those in your art kit too, okay? I have mine set aside. Right now, I have just the basics in my art kit, but it might grow as we go farther and farther into these videos. Now is not the time to be going on special store runs to buy materials, okay? I do not want anyone to be telling their family that they absolutely have to have markers or colored pencils or crayons or glue or whatever it is right now. Use what you have. If you don't have it, that's okay. Like I said before, the only things we need to get started are the super simple stuff. Paper, pens, pencils. That's it. A piece of paper, a pencil, a pen to really, really get you started. Just like in the art room, cleaning up after art is your responsibility. It's not your mom and dad's job to clean up after you. It's not your brother or sister's job to clean up after you. You are responsible for cleaning up your own art stuff. The last thing that I want for any of you is to lose art privileges because your family is so frustrated by how messy your art supplies are. So make sure that after every art making fun time you have, make sure everything goes back in your kit and your kit goes to wherever you've decided it lives.